On the first day of transfer, Isuzu Sento forced Seiya Kanie to go on a Sunday with her by holding a gun to his face. The date spot turned out to be Amagi Park, a park that didn't have a single visitor. While walking around the park, Isuzu enthusiastically introduced Seiya to various amusement rides here. But things are not as she recommended. The facilities and services here are extremely bad. At the end of the tour, Isuzu asked Seiya what he thought about the place, and Seiya commented that this was the worst park he had ever been to. At this time, Isuzu also revealed that, before approaching Seiya, she thoroughly investigated Seiya's background and personality, as well as his excellent work ability. This made Seiya feel uncomfortable at all. Just as Seiya was about to leave in a fit of anger, Isuzu invited him to eat some potato cakes, and he realized that the taste of these cakes was extremely delicious, so he asked to meet the person who made them. Seiya followed Isuzu to meet the park's manager Latifa, and she is also a princess of the magic land named Maple. According to Latifa, this park is facing imminent closure. And when that happened, all her people would lose their place, so she asked Seiya to help them by becoming the park's manager. But Seiya didn't believe in things like magic, so to make him believe her, Latifa imparted a spell to Seiya through a kiss, and Seiya fainted instantly. The next day, Seiya realized he had the ability to read people's minds, and Isuzu forced Seiya to return to Amagi Park without giving him a chance to say no. Outside the park gate, Macaron the sheep and Tirami the pink cat are making sandbags for the kids to practice boxing, making them all numb. On the way to the park, Isuzu revealed that the people of Maple like them live because of an energy generated from the joy of their customers. Without it they would disappear. Upon arriving at the park, Isuzu had Seiya meet some people from a rival company, who would take over the park if the park couldn't reach 500,000 visitors for 5 consecutive years. The 5-year period is just over 3 months away, while they have only achieved 250,000 visitors over the past 4 years. Seeing that it was impossible to get 250,000 customers in 3 months, Seiya refused to help Isuzu and the others. When Seiya went to find the princess to return the mind-reading spell, he saw the entire staff gathered in front of the castle. Princess Latifa announced to the entire staff that their Amagi Park would be closing in 3 months, much to the grief of the entire staff. But Seiya returned and accepted the invitation to help the people of Maple, with a claim to help the park step into a brighter future. The next day, Seiya made an announcement that the park would be closed for 1 day for maintenance. Although Maple is vehemently opposed to this, as their park has never closed. Isuzu had to use her gun to stop their quarrel. Soon after, Seiya called all the team leaders together and announced some new changes. First, people will have to work all week with no days off. Second, all services will be discounted to just 30 yen. When Maple went out to meet guests waiting while the park was closed, he got into a fight with a family, and he punched his father until he fainted. Seiya panicked and ran to stop him. According to people, Maple often quarrels with customers once a year to several times, making Seiya sure that that is one of the reasons the park has no visitors. Seiya made the girls shoot a promotional video for the park, but it didn't get as many views as expected, so he uploaded a video of Maple fighting with guests, and the video got a lot of hits as a result. Views, helping the park's visitor numbers increase a little. Thanks to Seiya's perfect management, the park's operational efficiency and the number of visitors are increasing. The staff had to deal with naughty kids from kindergarten. When Isuzu informed that Maple, Macaron and Tirami were having some trouble, Seiya let Isuzu take care of the problem. But the elemental witches had shown him that Isuzu wasn't trying to solve the problem. She had threatened them and forbade them to complain further. Seiya scolded Isuzu for her actions, so Isuzu was sulking and angry at him all day. Later, Princess Latifa invited Seiya to join her on the Ferris wheel to enjoy the view, and she discovered that he has a fear of heights. Suddenly, Seiya realized that he had been with Latifa somewhere before, but when he asked, Latifa did not remember seeing him. The next day, it rained heavily and caused the drainage system to fail, potentially flooding the entire park. While Seiya was confused about what to do, Isuzu directed everyone to pump the water out by hand, and limit the damage to the park. After the rain, Isuzu revealed to Seiya that her strict actions were due to her training when she was in the Maple Royal Army, and she knew that everyone in the park hated her. But when she went out, Seiya showed Isuzu the happy faces of the staff, and they thanked her for her timely direction, making her realize everyone's love for her. Amagi Park has used up all its savings, and there is no longer enough money to continue operating. When Seiya asked everyone how to solve the problem, Maple told them about a friend named Dornell, who went missing after searching for treasure in an abandoned part of the park, so everyone went there together to investigate. Once inside a cave, they faced a series of different traps along the way, and Isuzu and Macaron were separated from the group. Seiya and the other two encountered an army of orcs, and they successfully repelled them. When Macaron and Isuzu woke up, they discovered that Dornell was still alive, and that he had been hiding down here all this time just to read manga and watch anime. Meanwhile, Seiya, Moffel and Tirami encountered a red dragon named Ruby. The dragon agreed to spare them if they could answer its question, and Seiya used his mind-reading skills to answer, even before the dragon had even finished reading the question. Realizing this dragon was not terrible, Moffel gave it a punch, causing it to kneel down and beg for forgiveness. They learn that Ruby and a group of moles have fled a dictatorship, and have been given shelter in the park. Back on the surface, Ruby and the mole team asked to work in the park, and Seiya quickly agreed, but the money issue remained unresolved because they couldn't find the treasure they wanted. So Macaron offered to sell all of Dornell's anime-related stuff, and make enough money to run the park for the next month. When the park was short of workers, Seiya decided to hold an interview to find a new employee. Isuzu dreamed that after Seiya recruited 3 other female employees, he pushed her aside. Knowing that Isuzu was worried but refused to say it, Macaron put a strange fruit in her curry dish. At school, Isuzu discovered that she would say whatever was on her mind, so she immediately returned to the park to punish the stuffed bears. Seiya asks her to join him for a staff interview, but she has to constantly hide her feelings for Seiya. During the interview, they recruited a series of unusual employees such as wrestlers, shinobi, and even astronauts. Until a normal girl appeared, and Isuzu realized she had appeared in her dream last night. Isuzu tried very hard not to speak her mind about her fear that the other girl would seduce her Seiya. After that, the other 2 girls also appeared in the interview, and all of them were accepted to work at the park. When Isuzu and the elemental sorceresses were posing as evil pirates to play together with the children, in the basement, the shark and his team discovered the gate leading to the area. Maple Land suddenly split open, and a group of pirates from Maple Land led by Ironbeard attacked Amagi Park. He asked everyone to surrender, and Tirami joined the pirates. They shelled and attacked everyone on the shore. They and Princess Latifa were later taken prisoner, and Ironbeard and his crew forced everyone to serve them. Only Seiya and the Sharks team managed to escape. Taking advantage of the pirates' loophole, Seiya and the mole team took over the pirates' boat and shelled them. Taking that opportunity, everyone on the shore also counter-attacked the bandits, but Tirami didn't know which side to choose. It turned out that the seals were very afraid of sharks, so they quickly surrendered when they saw him. Seiya made them work to make up for the damage they caused, and he gave the pirates to the sharks to manage, and Tirami was punished by everyone. Seiya had fainted during work due to a cold. Because Seiya's role is so important, the princess does not allow him to go to school in this state. Then, Isuzu appeared with a lock on her head, much to Seiya's curiosity. Turns out it was Tirami who disguised himself as Isuzu to trick Seiya, and it was suggested that everyone disguise himself as him to go to school instead. Isuzu immediately appeared to punish the 2 hated mascots for daring to cosplay her. The next day, Isuzu wore a Seiya cosplay to go to school in his place. Along the way, 3 sleazy children who attacked her at the park sniffed her, but luckily they didn't realize where she was. Isuzu meets the new employee Sheena, and learns that she goes to the same school as them. While checking Seiya's locker, Isuzu found a love letter addressed to him. A girl named Kanie sent the letter, but it was actually because she sent it to Seiya by mistake, so she sincerely apologized. However, Isuzu didn't blame her at all, but said some very selfless words, causing her to eventually develop feelings for Seiya. Next, Macaron is the one who will replace Seiya to go to school, but this sheep doesn't worry about studying, but it also interrupts the class and runs out on the lawn to sleep. It then saw Kanie and Kimura arguing with each other, the reason being that she was currently in love with Seiya, so the sheep gave her some advice, which made her fall in love with Seiya even more. After Macaron is Tirami's turn to disguise himself as Seiya. When approached by Kanie, Tirami quickly took advantage of her, and Tirami's silly actions inadvertently made Kanie think that Seiya was just someone who was not serious about love. Finally, it was Moffel's turn, when he and Isuzu were walking to school when they were stopped by Kanie's classmates, thinking that Seiya was toying with her feelings. Before the trouble could happen, Kimura appeared and explained that Seiya's previous foolish actions were just because he wanted to push Kanie back to Kimura, so Kanie's friends accepted it. And everything ended peacefully. As it turned out, Seiya disguised himself as Kimura after hearing everything from Sheena. The four elemental witches are having trouble coordinating their performance. Latifa invited all four of them to the castle to eat hot pot, thinking that they were under pressure at work. When Latifa went out to get more sauce, the four witches, jokingly, accidentally touched the button that activates the castle's defense system, causing the castle to turn into a giant fortress. Outside the castle, everyone tried to attack inside, but they were blown away by the cannons in vain. Moffel and Ruby attacked the castle from above, but they couldn't escape the castle's cannons either. Isuzu had discovered that they could turn off the fort's defenses from within, so the elemental witches quickly searched for the shortcut. To get to the shortcut, they will have to overcome some challenges along the way. Thanks to the unity of all four girls, they were able to overcome the karaoke challenge, the dance challenge, and the keyboard challenge together. When they reach the final challenge, the girls have to go into separate sealed rooms equipped with drills at the top, and are asked to choose one person to be sacrificed out of the four of them. However, all four girls chose themselves, so they successfully passed the challenge without any sacrifice. Soon after, the castle's defense mode was successfully disabled. The next day, the group of four elemental sorceresses put together a wonderful performance in front of the audience. Thanks to everyone's efforts, the park now has a pretty steady stream of visitors, and they even had to do some crazy games to attract more guests, even though Seiya wasn't very happy about it. A group of local reporters came to report on this growing Amagi Park. While Isuzu was making potato cakes with Princess Latifa, Latifa suddenly collapsed and fainted. Isuzu informed Seiya that the princess was under the curse of a sorcerer, and that she could only live when she left the land of Maple. But in order to keep her alive, they needed to obtain a source of magic born of human joy, and that was why this park was built. Seiya was heartbroken to learn that if the park were to close, the princess might die. While now it's impossible to get enough visitors on time, despite everyone's best efforts. At full capacity. In the event that the park was closed, Seiya reveals to Moffel that he once met Latifa during a park trip when he was a child, and he hasn't seen her change since. Moffel explained that the witch's curse not only took her life, but it also took away her memories and years of life, so she had to live her whole life as a 14-year-old child, and she didn't remember ever meeting Seiya before. With only 10 days to go until the deadline, realizing that at the current rate, they will not be able to reach 500,000 visitors before the deadline, Seiya decided to use the park's stadium to host a professional football match. Their football field can hold 50,000 spectators, and if they can pull that many people to watch football, the park will hit its quota on time. First, Seiya had to convince the clubs to rent their stadiums. Seiya used his mind reading and writing skills that the clubs were in financial difficulty, so he offered to give them a completely free rental fee in order to sign an agreement with them. He sent Tirami and the mold team to renovate the entire lawn of the football field. Amagi's coffers, which were already in dire straits, are now under even more pressure following the decision to host a free professional football match. To solve financial problems, Seiya decided to sell the park's wasteland. Although initially met with resistance from everyone, they quickly agreed that this was the best solution. The day of the soccer match, and also the last day they had to meet their quota, had arrived. Today is a very busy day for everyone, and most of their services are not able to handle this huge number of customers. The match starts at 6 p.m. and the deadline will end at 9 p.m. When the match started, the entire stadium filled the stadium, and after the last of the spectators passed through the park gates, they realized that they were still short of 252 spectators. All the staff members called all of their acquaintances, and asked people to come to the park to watch the ball game, in the hope that they could gather 252 spectators. Soon, many people came to support them. Acquaintances from Moffel's Tavern, Seiya's friends, the fan club of the elemental sorceresses. But they are still short of 3 more people to meet the quota, while the time is only a few minutes. Suddenly, 3 pretentious preschool children who were passing by their mother saw Isuzu, so they rushed into the gate to attack her, and thanks to that, the park finally met its assigned quota. All the staff were overjoyed at this event, and they were very grateful for Seiya's hard work. After that, Seiya gave a speech to resign because he fulfilled his promise, and he also thanked everyone for their efforts. Suddenly, Seiya saw the name of the director of the rival company. He tried to use mind reading on his head, but it didn't work. When he was about to attack him, Isuzu and Moffel came to save him in time, and they revealed that he was the cursed witch Latifa. At this moment, they suddenly realized that the time when Latifa had her memories of the past year erased was coming. However, when the hand of the clock ticked past 12 o'clock at night, Latifa's memories were still not erased. As it turned out, the recent massive visitors had brought enough magic for Latifa's body to be able to resist the curse. Outside the gate, Seiya said goodbye to Isuzu, and rode his bicycle back home. The next morning, everyone prepares for a new day at work, and they see Seiya here again. He really missed this job, so he reconsidered and wanted to continue working with everyone at Amagi Park. Thank you for watching the entire video review of this anime. I will leave other videos of the channel here, and don't forget to press the subscribe button and the bell button to receive notifications of the latest videos.